All right, we continue with our focus on education. The Gauteng Education Department has revealed that it's making steady progress in its 2026 school placements. The department says only 4,858 grade 1 and 8 learners are still awaiting placement. Joining us to share the very latest details ahead of the start of the academic year is MEC for Basic Education, Matome Chiloane. Good afternoon, MEC. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, MEC, just hearing those figures that just under 5,000 learners are yet to be placed is quite concerning. But if we had to take into account that you had at least 358,000 applications to consider, then it does change the perspective somewhat. But nevertheless, please share with us the latest figure. How many learners need to be placed as we speak?
We're just above 4,000. We managed to at least offer places for around 500 from that figure. The delay now, maybe the slow pace of placement is due to, we've started the process of speaking to parents, to those parents of those 4,000 learners, because how we're going to place them, we are going to place them in new schools. And for that to happen, you then have to start a consultative process where we bring those parents on board and request them to understand that where we're going to be placing them at the schools that we're currently building. There's 7 new schools that we're establishing. Obviously, there will be mobiles in those schools, but they will meet the norms and standards as per the prescripts of the legislation, and to assure the parents that it's not just what we call just a malicious compliance that we're undertaking. We've carefully thought about it, and this is what we're going to be doing. So we are appealing to them to be patient with us as we are dealing with this particular, the outstanding number.
Now, you say these will be the mobile classrooms in these new schools that you've built, but where exactly are they? And most importantly, where are most of the unplaced learners concentrated? Which district has the most pressure?
We have the biggest down currently. Most of the districts are clearing their numbers. They've cleared. Where we have a problem is where we call Ekurhuleni North and Joburg East, which is the Tembisa, Ivory and Midrand area. And if you know, that area is highly populated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of high-rise building in those areas, so townhouse complexes, and there's not enough schools in that area. I usually take the blame to municipalities, and I will always argue that they approve these town plans, these residential areas, but they never really approved schools. They even, in some instances, they're even delaying us to approve our plans to build schools. Some of these municipalities. So that's why we're having a challenge currently. Ekurhuleni North, the Tembisa area, and Ivory Park and Midrand. And this is where this large number of 1,000 is coming from.
But that's quite a concern now when it comes to planning, because that was going to be my next question, around some sort of a multi-pronged approach where it's intergovernmental, where all of you guys at some point sit across the table and discuss that if we're planning going forward, where it be the town planning, if you're planning for greater construction, then you must plan for amenities as well. We need schools, we need churches, we need hospitals. So don't you guys sit in some sort of a sort of meeting once in a while to discuss some of these issues?
No, we do play a certain role in terms of some of the approval aspect. But what they do, especially the private companies, private developers, they will take that space opportunity for school and give it to private school. And parents have demonstrated they don't want these private schools. They want public schools. That's why even statistically you've seen there's a dwindling in terms of number of learners that are going to big institutions like Kuro, because parents now are moving their kids to public school. So that has been some of a limitation that we've experienced. But also the number of schools that need to be built to meet the number of residential development has not matched. Plus migration that we're dealing with in Gauteng. I mean, we received 120,000 plus learners last year from across the province, other provinces and neighboring countries. And this is 120,000 more learners that we must accommodate in this current infrastructure system that we have.
But there'll be parents that say when it comes to urbanization, it's not a novel concept. As leaders, you know this, and it needs to be adequately prepared for, where you must sit on some sort of committee where across the board you guys are discussing the number of people that are flocking to Gauteng because it is the economic hub. So there must be greater planning. But beyond this, I want to take you back maybe to the appeals process. Who qualifies to lodge an appeal, or better phrased, which reasons are given priority when it comes to a parent who's appealing after an application was declined?
Remember, the system helps us to look at the credibility of the appeal. First of all, people who can appeal are those that applied on time, and their children are placed at schools that they did not apply for. Those are the only ones that are allowed to appeal. But then when you appeal, we also look at, for example, if you are saying you are appealing the placement of my child in this particular school, I would just say, for example, Edenville High, correct? And you might stay close to the school, you are within the feeder zone. But now you are number 201, as an instance.
Yeah.
And the school has got capacity of 200 grade 8 learners. So in that case, it becomes difficult to say, go and force the school and to put your child there. But if you are number 198 and somehow in the system, somebody nicodemously removed your child back, whether it's between the school or the district, one of the two, moved your child, then we are able to say, go back to that school, take that child back into that space. Because the system shows us where on the list the child was.
I want to take you back to that statement.
People,
Pardon me for interjecting there. You say in the instance where perhaps your child now was actually ahead and still qualified, are you saying that it would have happened erroneously where now your child no longer is part of the capacity of the school going maybe to 201? I just want to know if the system now, in its design, it does have elements where you can have human influence. It's not something where everything just happens automatically. If I'm 198, the capacity is 200, I'm definitely in. Does it allow for that human influence?
Yes, it does. In the sense because remember, when you make a submission for instance, your home address, schools have a right to go and verify that you actually stay there with the child. That's the first part. But also the aspect is when they correlate the list between the system and the school and the districts. They are able to comparatively that within the system, these are the first 200. And the school says these are the first 200 learners that we have comparatively, and that is the approved list that gets send messages for space placement offers. So there is a role that it does play, human element, but the system plays an overall in the structuring, so that nobody gets deliberately what do you call this placed or not offered space or value. So the system provides the credibility that we need to verify that actually the child is placed at the right school and it was in the right order.
Now, MEC, you know that this period comes with a lot of joy, but tears. We know this every single year when it comes to those parents on the first day of school. There will be those that are protesting outside of school saying we live close by and for some reason we were not placed here. So this is most certainly a very important conversation. Are you amenable to the idea of adding those mobile classrooms in the very schools? If it does happen that you have those mini protests yet again, where parents are saying, we applied here, we live just within the 5-kilometer radius, we should be here. Is that process also there now to say perhaps beyond having the new schools having mobile classrooms, we probably are going to add a few mobile classrooms in the very schools that some of these parents had applied to?
Yes, no, that's what we're currently dealing with in those particular districts, Ekurhuleni North and Joburg East. We are looking at some of the schools. I mean, for example, there's a school in Tembisa, Boitumelong. It's got big land. So now we literally created we're going to create 2 schools out of that school. And so on the other side, we're then going to be placing mobile so that we can build a new school right next to this other school. So that we're doing. That's why that the process of consultation is taking place. That this is what we're going to be doing. We are going to be placing your child in this school temporarily while we are finalizing the mobiles in this particular school. Then after a week or two, we'll move your child into this particular school. So this is the whole purpose of saying we are speaking to those parents now.
And then just in closing, forward planning, given that it seems Gauteng is the province of choice for many parents, how many ribbons are you cutting this year? Any schools that will be officially open to the public?
Now in the between now, the beginning of the academic year, and maybe the second week of February, we are looking at about 5 new schools.
All right.
That will be cutting ribbon. And obviously, they are completed school, they are ready. In some of them are waiting for the occupancy certificate from the municipality. And I must say, the parents, some of these municipalities are asking ridiculous things. For instance, they're asking us to build them a tar road for them to approve our occupancy certificate, and of which is not even our function. But these are discussions that we are taking with the municipalities, that you are asking us things that are not within our competency. There's one, they don't want to give us occupancy certificate because they want us to build them a reservoir, of which we don't even have the money for. I mean, I would build them if there was money, but there is no money because there is no money, enough money currently to even build enough of those schools currently. So those are some of the challenges that we are having with the municipality. So the local authorities have not really come on board, honestly, to work with us mostly.
No, schooling is an important conversation, so most certainly we'll try and bring the municipalities to find out if there are no unnecessary hurdles that they're placing before your portfolio, at least in ensuring that you're delivering as much of the schools that are needed for this year. But at least we'll hold you to it. You say 5 ribbons that will be cut, and at least more children or parents can have options of taking their children into the public schooling system. MEC, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. That is Basic Education MEC in Gauteng, Matome Chiloane, speaking to us there. More news on the other side of this break. Do stay with us.